Good Friday morning, a feel-good Friday, of course. A beautiful day, sunny, high 60s. We will take it on this feel-good Friday. Boomer is off. He's in San Antonio giving one of his patented, amazing, inspirational speeches. He will be back with us on Monday. That means Jerry Recco in for him. Good morning, Jerry. How are you?
Gee, what is up, man?
Well, not a lot, other than the baseball yesterday. A lot of baseball in the afternoon that we will talk about. But one thing that I heard in the warm-up show was very concerning to me, and it was also insulting to me as it was insulting to you. You're doing a show on Sunday on CBS Sports Radio.
Yeah.
You reached out to a CBS Sports NFL draft analyst who's, he's got like a couple thousand followers on Twitter, writes an article here or there. Yeah, he probably gets like a package of peanut butter crackers every time he writes something for the website. And he blew you off?
I got no response.
No response?
So guess what? Not interested.
Does he not know who he's dealing with here?
It's okay. Listen, he's very busy. You're a week before the draft. I get it.
Bull crap.
We're good. We move on.
Who is this man again?
His name is Chris Trapasso.
Chris Trapasso.
Yes, he came recommended.
By whom?
Was it Tom out in the CBS Sports Radio
Tom
newsroom?
DiCelestino?
I think he was the one that recommended him. Gave me his number. I said, shoot him a nice text. I got nothing back.
I'm Jerry Recco of WFAN. I happen to be doing a show. I am giving CBS Sports Radio. I'm my presence for the afternoon.
Well, I wouldn't say my presence, but yes, it was 6 to 10 on Sunday morning. I figure we should do. There's gonna be a lot of basketball Sunday morning. I figure, but you got to do some on the draft. So I thought, why not keep it in house in the family? And so I reached out.
Keep it in the family is right.
That's what I thought.
And he blew you off.
I got no response.
How long ago did you send the text?
9 a.m. yesterday.
Oh, yeah, this is a full-blown
blown off, 100%. This was, let's see, I can give you the exact time if you'd like. Boy, I text a lot. Let's see. It was, 10:30 yesterday.
Okay, I mean, that's plenty of time to get back to you.
Yeah.
I know it's Friday. It's not Sunday. I mean, I guess he could potentially get back to you. Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah.
No.
I mean, this is such disrespect. I mean, come on. You're part of.
Listen, I don't know where he's from. Maybe he's in, Georgia. He doesn't know what the hell we are. It's fine.
I mean, we're on CBS Sports Network here with Boomer and Gio.
No,
it's CBS Sports Radio over there. Even though it's owned by Odyssey, it still's got the same branding.
Yeah, I just thought we'd kind of keep it in house, and but now we'll reach out elsewhere.
All right, you're dead to us.
No.
That's it.
Come on.
Man, you're dead to us, Chris Trapazzo. You're done. You know what we should do is we should be like, get them all excited. And we're like, hey, Chris, we want to have you in studio with Boomer for a big draft show.
And then what?
And then when he says yes, you go like, no, we're lying to you. Full of crap. You blew off Jerry, so we're blowing you off.
It's
Pull the
fine.
rug out from
Maybe
underneath
he's
him.
busy. Maybe he didn't get it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, anyway.
That is not right. Not a good start here this morning.
That annoyed me. That really annoyed me this morning when I heard that. I said, how dare this Chris Trapazzo?
How many times have you back in the day reached out to try and put someone on and you don't get a response? It happens.
Yeah, I know, but there's some people I feel exactly that way. Like, listen, you should be happy that I'm reaching out to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain levels of guests, and like you think like, hey, you want to talk draft with a guy? This would be the guy to do it. So, and he should say yes, and it'd just be a quick little 15-minute ditty on a Sunday morning, and away you go, Chris Trapazzo.
Yep. Well, we move on. And that's fine.
Like, this is like a Schwartz on Sports type guest. Like that's what this he's the level of.
Does he know the draft? I'll put him on.
I don't know if he does or not. He knows. I mean, he knows everything else. He knows like Major League Lacrosse. He knows,
that's not going to fly.
Yeah, he knows the hockey, I guess.
And this is one of those situations where I do disagree with Al. Like, to me, it's a big week for the NFL draft. I am not a college football guy.
Sure.
I want someone on to help me out with it.
Yeah, and Chris Trapazzo was the guy. And
we tried.
And he said no. So anyway, yesterday, I have an empty house, as you know. So I have a great setup for some afternoon baseball. And I know that Yankee fans, when they hear me say this, are going to say, well, you're not a Yankee fan. Okay, I'm not. But I'm also not the Met fan that hates the Yankees. Actually, I want the Yankees to do well most of the time because it's really good for this radio station when both baseball teams are doing well and that they're interesting. And same thing for the Giants fans that are always on my ass about, oh, you hate the Giants, you go out of your way to hate on the Giants. They've been terrible. So that's just the way we're going to call it, the way we see it. So it's not me going out of way to hate like I do with the Nets. I go out of my way to hate the Nets. I will admit that. No doubt about it. But with the Yankees and the Giants, I want those two teams to play well because it makes things more interesting around here, gets fan bases invigorated and lit up in a good way. And we haven't had that for a long time, especially in New York football. But I just have a very, very difficult time thinking that this Yankee team is going to be anything again this year. Now, I know I said it last year, and Fleegs reminded me. He goes, remember, you called them dead like midway through the season, and they won like 25 of 28 or something silly like that. Not that good. But I said, and my counter to that was, they essentially were dead because they ended up going to the wild card game, and they lost, and there was a nothing season for them. But and I know they won 2 out of 3. I understand. And it's the Tigers and everything else. And this was a big day, and they had a packed house there for Cabrera and whatever. But they're just like there is something legitimately missing from this group that I don't know that they're going to be able to fix in time for this to be a successful season for them.
Well, nothing's changed. And while some of the names have, their approach is the same. Aaron Boone said yesterday, and I said this on the warm-up show earlier, and I heard the clip this morning, when he basically says how they're struggling to score and the balls aren't flying to the seats yet. Well, that tells me that your approach is you're waiting for a few guys to get hot to start hitting home runs to carry the team, and that will happen. The one thing we do know is at some point, baseball, with the way, especially a team like the Yankees, it's like a basketball game where it's a game of runs. You're going to look terrible for stretches, and all of a sudden you're going to go on, as you saw last night, in the Memphis game, you're going to go on a 25-2 run, and all of a sudden you're going to look like world beaters, and maybe this team can win a World Series, and maybe they can make a deep run in the playoffs. The problem is when they're not hitting the home runs and they're not engineering anything offensively, they look dead. And I don't know which game you watched. My guess is you watched mostly the Met game. I was back and forth. They're boring.
No, well, that's the thing.
How many times have we said this?
All right, so this is another one of those deals where I already think of the reaction of the people that are listening. You know, of course, I'm leaning more towards paying attention to the Met game. Now, I actually was able to get the iPad back because Sabrina is not, my family's visiting in Pittsburgh, other family members. So the iPad in the house that's generally was bought to be mine and ends up having puppy dog pals on it all day long. I was able to have, both going and watch it in the afternoon in a quiet house, which was like amazing. But I mean, my attention is just not there on that game because you're exactly right. There was just nothing outside of the Cabrera at bats. What am I getting excited about?
You know how many base runners the Yankees had yesterday?
I don't.
8.
Oh, my God.
They had 7 base hits, and they walked 1 time. That was for an entire baseball game. Now, the 8th inning, they had a chance. They're down 1-0. They got guys on base. They load the bases.
First and third, 1 out.
Nobody out.
Nobody out, and bases loaded, 1 out.
And they're not, I don't want to say capable, that's not fair, but they're unable to, in that situation, push 1 lousy run across to at least tie the game. And then the Tigers, who will not be a good baseball team this year, all of a sudden, in the bottom of the 8th, have a very similar situation, and they get the big 2-out hit.
Right.
And the Yankees,
it was a little blooper, but they got it done.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They figured it out. And the Yankees just to go score. And it's also, as me and Chris talked about before, it's the way you win these games. So they won 2 out of 3. They did their job. At the end of the day, they won 2 out of 3. You win 2 out of every 3 in a series, and you're going to be in great shape at the end of the year. I completely agree. But you win a game a couple of days ago with Garrett Cole having one of the worst outings of his career. You don't feel great about that win. You lose this one yesterday and get shut out in Detroit. You come home, it feels like they lost 2 out of 3.
Well, it's on the heels of losing 2 out of 3 to the Orioles. So, sweeping this series would have been a nice little counter to that. But if you think about 6 games against
3-3.
Yeah. I mean,
against 2 bad teams.
Exactly.
Not good enough.
I mean, the schedule is still really weak coming up after this. But, yeah, that's the way you think about it. On the other hand, you think about the Mets, the way they start the season, 5 out of 7 against 2 division rivals, home against the San Francisco Giants, 3 out of 4 from them. I mean, that's like the way you feel like you're having some success, the first team in Major League Baseball with 10 wins. I mean, that feels like real legitimate early success. With the Yankees going into Detroit and winning 2 out of 3, and then it just being 3-3 against the Orioles and the Tigers, and then meekly going out in this getaway day like they don't give a crap. I mean, it just leaves a terrible taste in your mouth for the next couple of weeks.
Well, especially, Boomer will look ahead, and he looks ahead at these series, and what does he say about last
13
year?
The Boomer 13-game stretch.
Yeah, and you looked at last year, and what would he tell you? They were basically killed by the way they played not as well as they should have against teams like Baltimore. Well, here you go. 6 games against Baltimore and a team like Baltimore and the Tigers, 3-3. It's simply not good enough. It's just not.
Yeah, and I know that it's so early and it's April and
they're
things
right
could
there.
change. And
Absolutely.
As Fleeg said, you called them dead and then they went on a run last year. And you're right, I absolutely did do that. And all the Yankee fans called up, call them dead again, please, for the love of God, they'll win a World Series. But it's a pattern. That's why, and that was the reason why I said what I said last year about them. It's a pattern. I mean, things have changed for the Mets. You know it. There's different faces. There's a different manager. There's a commitment to spending money and using that money to cover up mistakes. I mean, all of that is there. With the Yankees, it's just the same. I mean, there's as you mentioned, a couple of new faces, but it's not doing enough.
Not doing anything because it's been the same story on repeat.
I mean, you even get an amazing outing from Jordan Montgomery yesterday.
He got DeGrom.
Spectacular. Yeah, he did 100%. You've seen a couple of good outings from the starting pitching, and if you want to go glass half full, that's probably where you go. Outside of Cole, you've got Severino, Montgomery. I mean, you feel okay about that. But this team is not a championship team, not even close, and I stand by that. And if it changes, the only way it would change for me is if you had another Giancarlo Stanton MVP type season followed up by Aaron Judge doing basically the same thing.
Well, and to be clear, we're not even 10% of the way into the season. And as I said, they could go on a 10-game winning streak starting today. I would not be shocked. The problem is reacting through 13 games. It has been more of the same. Giancarlo Stanton not out to a torrid start. Aaron Judge, who turned down almost $250 million guaranteed money, not off to a great start. Was he got 1 home run?
Yeah.
2? Was he 1, right?
Yeah, 1 home run.
One
just
for
a
3
couple
yesterday.
RBIs.
He's batting about 250.
Yep.
13 games. We get it. It can turn quickly. But as of right now, there's not a lot to like from what you've seen. And I have several, as I'm sure you do, several Yankee fans that are friends of mine. Mm-hmm. They are disgusted with what they've seen so far.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's also coupled with the fact that they feel like they're not as committed as they used to be. I mean, that's really the thing. I mean, it used to be like, oh, the Yankees are going to go out and spend every single dollar, and then whatever team is out there, if they underachieve, it's on the players, and we'll scream at them and we'll boo them. But I mean, this offseason felt like the same commitment that we've seen in the past is just not there. To going out and doing whatever it takes to put the best roster out there because they are scared of the luxury tax. And they thought that the Aaron Judge contract was something that they were going to have to deal with this year, and they're not. And now it's just the fan is like, what the hell are we doing? I mean, we're not the team that goes bargain basement shopping for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. That's not us.
Well, and unfortunately for him, he right now is the reason for this thought process is because of the hole they had at that position.
All the guys that were available.
And this is where they landed. And he's not a terrible player, but he's not the superstar that the Yankee fans thought they were getting.
Right.
And so far, and while he has actually hit well recently, it's still not what you thought. I mean, there were I would say if you go back to the end of last year, and let's forget about the lockout, because I really don't think anybody really thought that was going to impact too much of the season. I didn't anyway. I think most Yankee fans were like, all right, we've got this guy, this guy, this guy. Which one do we think they'll settle on? I can tell you who they didn't think.
Yeah.
They didn't think it would be him, and it's not his fault. That's not what Yankee fans were expecting.
I remember doing shows saying they have to go get Correa. They have to. Just in the same way that I thought that you had to go get Garrett Cole after that season and the disappointing starting pitching. It's like you got to get someone with some edge and a big-time baseball player, throw him in the middle of the lineup and change the entire feel of the team. Instead, Brian Cashman tried to restart the engines on Josh Donaldson, thinking that maybe you'll get that type of guy from 5 years ago.
Which allowed the Twins to then go get Carlos Correa.
Which made it even worse for the Yankees fan.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I know it's just a game yesterday and whatever, but it's a pattern is what it is. It's a pattern. And by the way, like I know that Tigers fans showed up and they packed that place.
Well, it was only
normally.
20,000.
Okay, but 20,000 when it would have been, 8 yesterday?
Maybe. Some of these ballparks, yeah, it might have been.
Yeah, so at least, I mean, they probably doubled the attendance because of Cabrera and the 3,000s hit. Aaron Boone had to do that. Because we're sitting here.
Oh, yeah, I have no issue with him.
He
Of
had to
course.
intentionally walk
Yeah,
him.
it was the right move.
Like, I wish I could sit here and tell you that for entertainment purposes,
No.
he's got to pitch to him. That's not the way it
nonsense.
works. That's not the way it works.
He had 3 at-bats before. He had plenty of opportunity yesterday.
I mean, I wish the world worked like that sometimes, where like Aaron Boone was like, you know what, screw it. Let's give the people what they want. But no, he's got a ton of pressure on him to win every single freaking game. He's the manager of the Yankees. He had to do that.
That should not be his concern. If he didn't do it, he's an idiot.
Right, exactly. I mean, how do you even explain that after the game?
You don't.
I mean, you can't.